The fight for the heart and soul of South Africa's biggest trade union federation, Cosatu, rages on. The latest casualty in the fallout within the labour movement is Patrick Craven, Cosatu's long-standing spokesperson. Craven said he could not defend the indefensible and disagreed with the decision to axe Zwelinzima Vavi. General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi, however, will not go down without a fight and is in the process of consulting his lawyers on whether or not to challenge Cosatu's decision to get rid of him. Mr. Vavi has also hinted that he will escalate the fight to the streets and the shop floor if he has to. Now, Mr. Vavi is with us in studio this morning to speak for himself. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
I'd like to start this conversation with contextualizing this whole scenario. I'd like to read you a quote that comes from the CEC from Cosatu over the weekend. It says here, "He has, in reference to you, behaved in a manner which placed him above the organization as an untouchable leader. He treated the organization as his own, including the Cosatu Leadership Collective and the entire membership as his inferior subjects." The inference is that you place yourself above the law. What do you make of that from the CEC of Cosatu?
Nonsense. Rubbish. An attempt to throw as much mud on my direction with the hope that some of it is going to stick. When all of this was happening, tell me, where were they? When I reduced the Cosatu members into my subjects, how did that happen and where were they and why they didn't intervene to ensure that that is corrected? When I was acting outside the collective, why that collective would never ever raise that? Where are the minutes that will show that at some point this was the discussion? And why all of a sudden there is 2011 charges once I'm out of the federation with an attempt to try and find me guilty in the public opinion? All of that is absolutely rubbish. But look, my view is that I'm not going to go into a tit-for-tat response to all of garbage. No, I'm not, because I think it's going to be, frankly, a waste of time. Yeah. Is this what workers need now? A tit-for-tat accusations and counter-accusations on television and radio? No, I don't think that's a challenge. Workers want an organization that will fight for them in the workplace, that is uncorruptible, that stands up against the employer's abuse, that fights against labor brokers, that fights against the continuous employment of workers as temporal workers, that fights for better pay, that fights to close inequalities in the workplace in terms of pay, that fights for the principle of equal pay for work of equal value. That's what workers are asking for, not this endless battle between the leadership, accusations and counter-accusation. And that's why I've said I will form part of a effort by the unions who have now seen that taking this route is taking us nowhere, is taking workers nowhere. Let's go to the streets, let's fight against Eskom, let's fight against the labor brokers, let's fight against the wave of retrenchments that is sweeping through the country. That's the battle, not this.
You're not going to go. You've taken the mantle that this fight needs to go to the shop floor. What do you then, in that sort of context, make of the comment made in our headlines there by Mr. Gwede Mantashe, who says, "You must now accept your dismissal and move on"?
He says so.
Yeah,
I didn't catch that. Well, that's his opinion. He can accept it and move on. I wonder if workers will agree with him.
Some say that the critics say that you've left the CEC no option by refusing to attend. They say that you're challenging the expulsion in the sort of wrong forums. What do you make of the official acts that you've been given, the reasons for that?
Again, they exercise the factional interest and the factional rights, and they've acted in a manner that takes that forward. I have no qualms with that. But the facts of the matter is that I'm being dismissed for 2 offenses in their book. The first one, I'm saying it is unprecedented. It is wrong to dismiss 340,000 workers out of the federation they created, they love.
Yeah.
And you do so motivated by political reasons. The fact that NUMSA decided in its Congress not to back the ANC in the last elections can't be you want to dismiss a union for that, because there will always be different political opinions in any trade union movement. You can't dismiss workers for that. So I'm saying if I'm added on to that list, then I will go away with a very clean conscience. It's a principled stance I'm taking. You can't dismiss unions for political differences that they should have. Secondly, I said I can't go to a meeting and pretend that it is business as usual when, no matter the number, there's no big dispute, is it 5, 6, 7, 8, it doesn't matter. Even a single union sitting outside saying, I have these reasons no longer to participate in your Central Executive Committee. Yeah. To me, that warrants that we should stop everything else and go back and say what have gone wrong. Let's sort the problem. For the past 3 years, leaders of the faction that have now become a majority have simply refused to have any form of discussion on any matter that they regarded as a problem. There was a process agreed to, insisted upon by them to appoint Petrus Mashishi and Charles Nupen. They frustrated that process until it was collapsed. The former Cosatu leaders intervened to say, can we have a discussion informally to try and find a solution? They would not make themselves available. The ANC intervened, produced a report, and an imperfect report, but the report that would have given us a starting point to move forward. Yeah. They frustrated that. They would not cooperate with it. That report is now gathering dust since it was presented in October. It have not been looked at. Yeah. All these guys wanted from the beginning is to achieve what they said privately in the CC meetings and in public. They want to get NUMSA out, they want to get Zwelinzima Vavi out, and they want to get out of the federation any person who agree with their views. That's how, and then they say, we want to dismantle the current Cosatu in order to create a Cosatu afresh. But the Cosatu afresh will be a Cosatu that moves away from the Congress resolutions that is going to not to take up the pedals of workers, as the current Cosatu have really not taken up any pedal of Cosatu for the past 3 years.
The current Cosatu stands accused in some quarters of becoming a political party. Within that context, I want to ask you this question. Could this be the end of this labour movement? If you look at the workers, they've shown an appetite for a new type of mobilization against Cosatu. This is if we look at the AMCU experience that we've made within the last couple of years. When we look at this, is there a legitimate concern that the fallout for this could see fringe unions make a play?
Firstly, we must recognize this as the biggest tragedy to visit the trade union movement, but South Africa as a whole. And by the way, we're not seeing this as an isolated question. We're seeing this as an attempt to collapse, blunt, and hollow out the democratic institutions, the democratic organizations, and with a view of ensuring that there is no accountability of the leadership. Nobody can hold any person accountable. Look at the fact that the trade union movement, the youth movement, have been collapsed as we speak. Then you go to everywhere else, the SABC, the ESCOM, the IPID, the intelligence, the NPA, even the public protector is being investigated for so-called being an international agent. It's a fracas, it's a turmoil, it's a political crisis cutting across. So don't dare look at just a trade union problem. It's a problem of South Africa today. and and therefore that problem can't be solved in courts. It will have to be sorted out politically.
Yeah.
And that's my starting point. But then, where do we move? What do we do?
This is the question of the conclusion. The way forward for the labour movement. Is this a scenario that's beyond repair, irreconcilable? What do you see as a way forward that can, in a way, solve the problems of the workers?
If there was appetite on all sides to forge ahead with unity, I will go back to say let's work on that. Because that's the first prize. But the question have to arise at this moment. On what basis do you say the other side is interested in unity? Because purging is not just about me and the 340,000. There's purging all over in some or in other unions. People are asking a question. Do you want to continue focusing on the unity and boardroom fights whilst the agenda of workers is being sidelined in the streets? And when it is now being proven daily that workers walk away from ineffectual unions that are irrelevant in any case in terms of them taking up their battles in the streets. That's a question we have asked members yesterday to debate. Do we continue, or do we begin to look at alternatives at this stage?
It looks like you are looking at alternatives already. I just want you to have a look at some of the comments and see what people are talking about on social media. Liz Maloma says, you know, for me, no reason I can explain. I think history will be kind to Vavi and find that he was on the right side of the moral divide. You have a lot of support. You even have a lot of the unions within the movement giving you support. How does that make you feel? And then Patrick Craven walking out saying that it's indefensible what's happened. Your comment on that?
I've served this movement for more than 30 years. I've not betrayed workers once. I have not betrayed the mandates that they have given me, and they have been hard mandates. When they needed a spokesperson against corruption that is threatening every gain, I was there and I spoke out on their behalf as mandated by them. When they wanted somebody to fight e-tolls and to be a champion against that struggle, I was there. Workers know that. You're not going to tell them all of a sudden that this man is an enemy and you shouldn't be having any association with them. They are going to refuse. And next week and every other day, we will be hitting the streets and you're going to see yourself.
Mr. Vavi, I thank you for joining us. We've run out of time. We've overrun over time a little bit. Thank you for joining us and giving your side of the story. Of course, we had Stu Dlamini in yesterday giving the other side of the story. Some say it's a personal battle. Mr. Vavi thinks differently. He wants to represent the alternatives for the workers going forward. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's take a look at our tweet of the day now. Well, this one comes from Mary Mugi, and she's asked